Join Dalton and Jacob as they discuss the ever-changing world of trading card games. TCG Buzz starts now.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Jacob, back at it again. Alone, just me, because we are doing another Buddy Fight World discussion, and I left it up to a vote, and the voters decided on Legend World. So Dalton wanted nothing to do with this because Legend World's his favorite, and he's a little butthurt about it. He was whining so much about how he couldn't talk about the perfect world. And he'd go, wah, I don't want to talk about Legend World. Did you just throw a pen at me? No.
I don't know what you're talking about. That was a horrible intro, by the way.
You're welcome.
Do you want me to do a real one for you?
Sure, go ahead.
What's up, Buzz Squad? It's your boy Dalton, back at it again, talking about the most perfect world in existence. Unlike trying to talk about maybe one of the worst worlds, Magic World. Like, that would have been cool, but,
I think he's mad, guys.
Mad? Nah. I just get to sit here and talk about how great Legend World is. What you mean?
Are you prepared to hear bad things about Legend World?
I'll just disprove every single one that you try to put out there.
So he's going to be Legend World's White Knight?
I prefer Black Knight.
I see what you did there.
No, if I was really going that route, I would have said the Brown Knight. But that just kind of sounds bad.
All right, so before we actually get into our discussion today, I'd like to say, first reiterate, our fans or people in the North American Future Card Buddy Fight group voted on which world we were going to cover today. Legend World won in a landslide, so I hope you guys are happy with it. Also, I'd like to remind people that we got Patreon. Also, if you're joining us live, we got our super chats. You can support us through that. It really, really helps to keep the show going. Keep these very bright lights on, all that stuff. So we really, really appreciate that. And if you maybe agree with Dalton that Legend World's perfect, maybe you can let him know in the comments or in chat, whatever. I'm going to try and bring up some criticism for Legend World.
Yes, keyword is try. Good luck. And no, Cowboys should not be in Legend World.
Yeah,
Stop it.
Focusing way too much on the Cowboys right now. Come on, guys.
Obviously, Dungeon World.
Clearly, it must be a Danger World deck because the Cowboys are going to be physically made out of guns.
If it's that way, then I'd accept it. Otherwise, Dungeon World. Because it makes more sense. It makes no sense in Legend World. Our opinions, by the way.
I don't know. I see the reasoning behind it. The point is, Legend World is meant to be, originally, in the beta version of Buddy Fight, it wasn't even called Legend World. Before it officially came out, it was called Mythology World.
Yeah, so even more reasons Cowboys shouldn't be in it.
I can see it as, like, modern myth, but
Nice try. Didn't hit the mark.
I guess it's time to actually get into it. We've been, we're talking a little. Let's get into the actual heart of this discussion. Now, yes, this is going to be a weird one because Dalton's going to be White Knighting the entire time.
I'm still waiting for you to throw something bad out.
Actually, I'm going to start with that. Why do you like Legend World so much?
It's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it.
Okay, hang on, buddy. I'm trying to get you to explain a reason why,
No, just go into the bad so I could just disprove you. That's why I'm here.
Okay, so we're going to actually start then with the history of Legend World. History, the legends made, the myth of whatever. Legend World was released in the first season of Buddy Fight. It's one of the OG worlds, but it was one of the last to be in. Actually, I think outside of Hero World, which was only kind of introduced in Season 1, it was the last to be released. It was released in Darkness Fable, And a lot of people did not get the chance to play them back then because Darkness Fable was notoriously short printed. In fact, to this day, it is the most expensive booster set for Buddy Fight because finding boxes of it is very hard. You want to share your personal history with that? Because you were definitely on the Legend World train already.
What? That was the only way to get my Legend World flag at the time? You know, you had to buy... I bought way too many. I probably bought, in a sense, half a case before I actually got my Legend World flag. That was I guess you could say that was a problem, but it's going to be remedied soon.
It was definitely the hardest flag to get in Season 1 especially. It's still, as of right now, probably the hardest of the flags. It's gotten the least number of actual reprints out of like special, super secret, amazing, chocolatey covered super cards of all the flags. But it's a lot easier than it was then. I remember how hard it was. Like, it was definitely the hardest flag to find, to the point where I think in our entire play group at the time, we had, like, what, one? Once you finally pulled one?
Sounds about right. Sounds about right.
So, like, the other players who wanted to play Legend World just didn't use a flag. Even at our, like, local tournaments, we're like, yeah, no Legend World flags needed, guys. It was bad. But how was Legend World in Season 1, would you say?
The way that Bushi did it, it was there for a day. Shout out to Grendel, winning me that tournament. And then it was gone the very next day. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, so Wydar Sarkal were decent, if unfocused, in Season 1. Hero was, I'm going to be honest, really bad. It had a couple really good forward-thinking cards like Merlin, but the archetype had so many bad monsters, so many. And then you had Asgard, which was about as playable as riding a unicycle that has square wheels.
So possible.
Slightly. I'm saying that as someone of the three. I tried out Hero for a little bit, but it was really hard to build the deck because there were a lot of high rarity cards you needed. But I primarily in Season 1 stuck to Asgard, and I really enjoyed it. You played Wydar's primarily, but you experimented around a lot with Legend World, even back then, right?
Sorry, I was distracted. What did you say?
You played a lot of Legend World in Season 1.
Oh, yeah. I always had it in the back, you know. Just always small little deck, just waiting.
Darian, I'll dab for a super chat.
Way to do it. Remember,
Yeah.
we do have super chat enabled if you would like to support us or to get a point across.
Yeah. Then you have Season 2 for Buddy. Now, a running theme in this episode will be these are some of the things that I used to be able to complain about with Legend World. Legend World was, of the initial worlds, I would say the least competitively viable. Overall.
When was this?
In Season 1.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Season 2 was not much better, though. Primarily because Season 2 didn't introduce any new archetypes outside of Fairy and...
It was so cute.
Like the art, like the concept, good theming, awful deck. Just unplayably bad. Like, I'm sure someone I know will be in chat complaining about it, but yeah, they were really bad, and it's really a shame they didn't get better support. They really could have used that second wave right after the first to get some really good, solid support, because then they could have been pretty decent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was it. That was the only new archetype for Legend World. Rather, you instead had got focus on Count Dawn for Wydar Sarkal. As far as I remember, Hero didn't exist. You got a couple good 100 Demon Legend World cards, like what's the dog?
That's a Wydar Sarkal.
Yeah, but it's also 100 Demon. What's its name?
It doesn't matter. Oberus.
Whatever it is. You also had the release of Star. I kind of forgot to mention them because they're kind of a Season 1 deck, but kind of a Season 2 deck. And they saw very little play throughout that time. They didn't get good till later, but they were. Like,
Well, they came out
they were okay.
strong, and they kind of the same thing with the Grendel deck. Just kind of disappeared for a little bit, and then comes back strong, swinging.
like they were not worth the price they cost to build when they first came out, is what I'd say. Like, they were a decent rogue deck when they came out, but they were really expensive.
Yeah.
And they were kind of hard to build
Yeah.
when they first came out.
I remember that. The initial person who tried building them sucked at playing them.
Oh.
That's right.
Ow. But they struggled competitively, and Fairy didn't exist competitively. I don't think anyone has ever played Fairy, not counting toilets. That's a separate thing, guys. Pure Fairy, I don't think has ever been played at a tournament.
I'm pretty sure everyone's still hung up about getting you arrested by Hero World because you forgot about stars.
I didn't forget about them. I was waiting for them, guys. Come on. I didn't forget. Never forget. Rigel Orion, man.
Yeah.
Season 2 was probably the worst year for Legend World. Competitively, but even just like casually, it wasn't very playable. You got pretty much nothing for the other decks as well. Asgard disappeared off the face of the planet. Hero disappeared off the face of the planet. Wydars could have been good, but there was so little focus to the sport they did get, right? You agree with that?
No.
Like, there was no synergy is what I'm trying to say. You had a lot of cool cards, but they didn't really work all that well together.
No, because then they started combining Wydars around that time with Fairies. Because you started getting more dual archetypes before dual world cards were a thing.
Also, you got the God Genesis, which is the memeiest buddy fight card to ever exist.
Yes, this is true.
But yeah, 100 and the first season, neither of them really impressed all that much with Legend World. Like, if you had to rank the worlds, it would probably be the bottom of the list. Season 3, it got a little better. You had the introduction of Zodiac, right? Which was sometimes a Legend World deck, but mostly a Star Dragon World deck. You also had Stars make their big appearance. Like, they existed before, but they got good in Triple D, right?
Yes.
They
Thanks to
were popping
Zodiac.
quite a bit. They had some Zodiac support. They had a new Rigel Orion who was really good. They were doing very well. Did anything else come out in Triple D? I honestly can't remember.
You started getting Wait, was that in that or was that in 100?
You had some
When you started getting like SD forms, SD forms.
Yeah, and we had some decent impact monsters. Sylph got one.
Mm-hmm.
Fenrir got one, which was okay. But
No, that one was more recent.
it might be. Most of them did not see any use, though.
What are you talking about? Sylph's been used all the time.
Later, but not at the time.
No, at the time.
Maybe. I think Legend World still
Because
did not see
the
all that.
size 0 that gained crit for fairies and Wydars was out at the time.
You saw Zodiac see some play. You also got good cards. I believe Osira Guard came out that season. Or no, it might have been in 100. I don't know. But generally, like, still a 4 out of 10 for Legend World that season. Then you have X. X was a good season for Legend World. So first of all, you have Toilets. Toilets come out, and people all assume it's a meme deck, and then we're like, oh, Menjo's broken. Oh, the rest of the deck's broken too. Toilet turned out to be too strong, to the point where they had to straight up ban Menjo.
Busted. Fantastic.
You also had some, in the same set that Toilets were released in Chaos Control Crisis, you had a bunch of other support cards. You had they tried to bring Hero back with like Sword of the King stuff or whatever. And, it was awkward support that really didn't do much. But little did we know it was really just a tease. We got some new swords, and then they're like, what if we just did that?
Sure, I guess.
Yeah,
That's how you want to look at it.
We got the in Rainbow Striker, probably probably the best set of buddy fight ever, just saying. We got Lav introduced. An entire sword deck that was good, it was competitive, it was relevant, it was fun, and it was interesting and distinct. It was pretty great. Now, of all those support cards in X, what did you play?
What did I play? I played toilets, my guy. I had to flush away my competition. What did you play? Oh, wait, that's right. You're a non-believer.
I think the only legend deck I've ever owned was Asgard, which I sold
False.
like halfway through 100
False.
and
you
Star.
You had stars.
for a little while. I was like, yo, man, Star, this ain't for me. I'm going to build a quality deck. I'm going to build...
And if I'm right, you also had Zodiac for a little bit, too.
Yeah, and then I'm like, this is dumb. You're right. I forgot about all of these. Yeah, I got rid of that pretty quick, though. I did not enjoy playing Zodiac. And I will stand by the fact that I firmly believe that Zodiac is and has always been and will always be trash.
I think it's just more of the fact that you try to adapt to Legend World, where I was born and molded by it.
I hate you so much. Oh, so that moves us on then to Ace. I want to give that backstory, then talk about some more general stuff. Ace has been interesting. We go months with no Legend World whatsoever, right? We don't get Legend World support in Ace until the Climax booster, when they introduce Empyreal Corps. Guys, we forgot about the most important Legend World archetype. Olympus.
Dun, 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 dun.
Anyways, Empyreal Corps. That's all you have to say about Olympus. Empyreal Corps. Why don't I just let you talk about them since you're, the expert.
The expert. Well, I'd say I'm not the expert, but that's a different YouTube channel that's based about sports. So, they're fun. They're kind of like fifth omnis if they were counter-called. Well, that basically sums it up right there, doesn't it? It's all about damage and counter-calling.
Yeah, they're kind of like a control deck, but not really. They do some burn.
They're like a
but not
counter
really.
aggro deck. It's a very weird spot that they're at.
Yeah, they kind of like don't fit into one category,
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty good. I would not consider them amazing competitively. Particularly because they've yet to get Wave 2 support, which I'm sure is coming at some point.
Knowing Bushi.
Oh yeah, Bushi Road. I forgot. But they do pretty well. I'd rate them as like tier 2 right now, which is pretty good. Also, they're a little more on the expensive side just because Vanity Violence ended up being hard to get stuff for. But I think they've kind of cooled down a little. Yeah,
it started to become easier to get. And I'm just glad with like all the boxes that I did end up buying for it. It was majority ECs. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Also, guys, we desperately need a Yidris card reprint. That's the name, right? The one that discard a card, draw 2.
Yingle.
Ying. Who makes these names? Oh yeah, the Vikings. That card. How expensive is it?
Oh, simple $35
for a double rare. Ouchie.
Really? That's what you want to get at? Do you want to get at a card that's more expensive that's in Legend World?
What card?
That's, I believe, either in the trial deck for Chaos, or was a rare or something that's almost $30 as well. Population reduction.
Isn't it getting?
It is getting reprinted, yes, but that still doesn't change the fact. Or maybe the Triple T Kiri, which is also almost $30. Which is technically a reprint of Osira Guard, which is also almost $30.
That's
Woo!
why you do this.
Woo.
I'm just glad we got a reprint pretty early on of Brethren Guard. Can you imagine if it never got reprinted, how expensive it would be?
$50? Oh, I could
for
say.
A rare. Okay, so they're pretty good. And that's the point we should have done this episode. but things have changed recently with a announcement. This will date the episode because they're not out yet, so if people watch this in the future. But we're getting legend dragons, or whatever their official English name will be. A Egyptian kind of themed
Egyptian deities, thank you.
theme deck, but with dragons shoehorned into it.
Well, of course, you need dragons still.
And unfortunately, guys, a good number of my complaints with Legend World ended up getting fixed by them. So as I go through them, you can pretty much just use them as a response to these criticisms that either did apply or still apply, but much less so. Right?
Sorry, what?
Right?
No.
Okay. So I think it's time to go on and talk about some actual complaints with Legend World.
What can you have for complaints?
Well, that's what people are going to find out. And again,
You have none. It's very simple.
a lot of those complaints
You have no complaints.
don't apply nearly as much because of what's recently happened. First of all, why did it take 5.5 or so seasons for us to get a trial deck for Legend World?
Well, to be fair, who knows? They might have broken Legend World. You know, just based off the few cards that have been released and that we know the translations of. Legend Dragons seem a little busted. You know? Sure, maybe back in the day it wouldn't have been, but who knows? Maybe that's why Bushi didn't want to do it right away. Maybe they were afraid that Legend World was the true protagonist deck.
See, it's especially awkward because in Japan they kind of did get some.
Because they did have the Kiri deck, right?
Yeah, and then a Zodiac deck.
Mm-hmm.
But we got those released in booster sets, which I think, well, first of all, the Kiri one was a disaster and one of the worst things Booster has ever done. The whole version E thing and splitting them up was
Stupid.
so bad. But that's 4 years ago, or 5 years ago, whatever. I don't mind nearly as much anymore. I'm not salty about that anymore, I swear. And the Zodiac deck we got in an alternative booster, which was
Which was a decent alternative booster. You know, it could have been worse.
yeah, random burn Nova Buddy Rare was kind of weird, but whatever.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I'd like to think then that this won't be our last time getting a trial deck. We've seen other occasions where worlds have gotten just one and then never again, right? I mean, what was the last time? Let me think. What was the last time Magic World got a trial deck? Or Danger World? Or has Dungeon World gotten one in forever? Ancient? I think Ancient's last one was the Dual Jaeger one, right?
No. LDO.
Oh, LDO, that's right. Well, that's a start deck. I'm going to split hairs there. But yeah, no, you're right. I forgot about LDOs. But yeah, Magic, Danger, Dungeon. Were there a trial deck? I mean, that's one of the big problems with Buddy Fight in general is we don't get enough trial decks and start decks. It's really quite a shame. Would you agree with that? Would you agree that we need more variety in our trial decks?
Oh, yes. We definitely need more variety. I even feel like maybe we were talking about this earlier. I'm going to bring it up, get into everybody's heads, how Magic's doing this whole challenger deck thing, and they're basically competitive right out of the box. Maybe doing something like that in Buddy Fight. I don't know.
I think full competitive decks for Buddy Fight would be amazing. They could do so much with that, man. We should just do an entire discussion on that at some point. Like straight out of the box, good competitive decks, maybe with the sideboard or even a lost deck. That would be wonderful, right?
Mm-hmm. It would be nice.
So, complaint number one would be, lack of Legend World support in general. Then, I mean, even now we're still really averaging like one deck per season, and there are a lot of Legend World archetypes that have been introduced that just don't do anything. You agree?
Sounds about right. Sounds about right. It's okay, because Wydar Sarkal still exist. And Legend Dragons are coming.
Yeah, that's another thing. Legacy support for Legend World has been rough, man. Like, really bad, honestly.
The only archetypes that get legacy support are the most important ones of Wydar Sarkal fairies, toilets, somewhat,
Just
and heroes as in swords.
Like, there's so much they could do with legacy support that they don't do. You know, I'd like to see more Asgard support. That would be nice. You know, it's kind of awkward though now that they're like, no, Iceblade is a Dungeon World card, guys. Don't put him in. He's not an Asgard anymore. He's for Omnilord.deck, you know, or whatever.
Yeah, don't worry. They're going to mix that back in, you know. So that's
I'd
a topic for a
to
different.
see more Asgard support. I think Hero could use an actual play style.
You want what to fit with playstyle?
Hero should have an actual play style because they kind of had one, and then like they didn't, and then they did, then they didn't, and then like Lav took all their fire.
No, their last one was still based off of items.
Yeah, but what did they do? You know,
They gained effects for item. That was it. That reminds me of every single Magic World archetype.
okay.
And you.
Okay.
You bore me.
Olympus support would be great. You guys remember Gorgons?
I do. I remember that deck. Good times. Good times.
Wydar Sarkal could use some more varied support. Where's your Grendel retrain?
Don't speak of this. It'd be too busted, and you know it.
You know, there's tons of stuff like that left on the floor that never really got brought back up. And generally, when we do get Legend World legacy support, it does nothing. When was the last time that, you know, Fenrir got a new big scary boss card that got a triple rare for us in New World Chaos? When did that see play?
When it came out.
I don't really think so.
Oh, you don't remember me playing that deck?
No.
Well, because it wasn't me, it was Christian, that's why.
So the next thing, and this still applies,
Still no Cowboys.
but not nearly as much. I think they're on the right track, let's say, for this. Legend World completely lost its theme of mythology and really has failed to utilize it well.
No. I'm going to disagree on that. Especially with just looking at Ace. Well, you can actually go back to X with it, because toilets are based off Japanese yokai.
Yeah,
And
toilets are fine.
ECs are actually based off of Christianities.
Incredibly loosely and not very...
This is true, but you don't want to step on people's toes. You got to realize that, you know, you can offend people, especially in that area. You'd be surprised.
You know, we started it off with Asgardians and Olympians and the Knights of the Round Table, you know, and it kind of went, I mean, what does Zodiac have to do with mythology? What does...
Astrology. You know, he kind of pulled together that aspect of it, but okay.
You know, there's so much potential with that they don't address. And stepping into an Egyptian theme is a great first step, though shoehorning dragons into it kind of makes it worse.
What if they're not dragons, though?
They're dragods.
So?
I want our cat gods, and I want an alligator dude, and I want, you know, that kind
What if they're really just
mummies.
alligators?
And, like...
What if they're really alligators, but they want to keep the whole dragod thing, so you're like, oh yeah, we have other deities too.
I don't think so. But there are so many other cultures they could derive from. We did a episode where we came up with our own fan card archetypes a long time ago, and I mentioned that I really wanted like a Journey to the West style thing, you know, a Chinese influenced Legend World archetype. I thought would be wonderful. I'm surprised they haven't gone more for old school Japanese, you know, style stuff. I'm sure we get yokais, but where are like our Japanese deities, you know? They could do something with Native American culture. They could do Celtic. They could do all these different things. They could do like things based off of African folk tales. Like there's so much they could do, and they don't utilize any of that.
Well, and I think that's the problem. I think the fact that there is so much to do, it's hard to then support them all. And they kind of proved that with the initial wave of Legend World, where you had your Asgards, your Olympus, your Great Britain lore. You've introduced so much, and now you're trying to keep them where they need to be at. And it's, well, we can also go into this, and like this would be a cool concept, yada, yada, yada. There's just a lot that they would have to deal with at the same time. I feel like there is an easy way to do it. Focus on one for a full solid season, giving it decent support throughout, and then giving it kind of gingerly, kind of like what they were doing with Swords for a while, where they kind of threw in like one card of support every so often that Legend World was supported.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but part of this problem is not just that they're not thematically doing enough, it's that they're not utilizing what they do have. You know, when I see these new Legend World decks, it doesn't feel like they're based off of mythology. It feels like they're wearing a specific mythology or theme as, you know, a costume. Why not have cards actually based off of those stories? Why not have spell cards based off of the quests that, you know, Olympian heroes had to go off of? You know, stuff like that. Why is it that it's just, oh, this Empyreal Corps card references a name from the Bible? You know, I feel like Legend World could do so much to match the mythology with the gameplay that it doesn't. Also, I don't think we ever got an explanation of what the hell Wydar Sarkals were, and I kind of still want that.
Oh, I don't remember, because I remember looking it up at one back in the day what it meant. I forgot what language. It has something. It has something. I just can't remember what it is right now.
I feel disappointed with that because Buddy Fight could have so much depth in Legend World that honestly it used to do decent at, but really has not done well with in recent seasons. And I got excited when I heard our next deck was going to be Egyptian themed, and my head flashed to all these things. You could have a set spell based off of the Nile River. You could have pyramids. You could, do all this. You could have, your different...
A throne item.
You could have a nukes.
Oh, wait.
You could... Yeah, that could be literally any throne. That could be from Game of Thrones, man.
But that obviously wasn't.
No, but you know what I'm saying. And I feel, once again, they've missed the mark. Granted, we haven't seen everything for the deck, But do you see where I'm coming from?
Maybe they're snakes.
That'd be funny.
Because if you really want to get, I'm going to defend this point hard. Since dragons are technically reptiles, right?
Oh, no.
You agree with this?
Sure.
Right?
Actually, I believe they're descendants of, or like ancestors to chickens.
Yes, this is true. So are dinosaurs. They were also reptiles. So therefore, my logic's still sound here. Snakes are reptiles. Crocodiles are reptiles. Why can't they just be a more smoothed out version of those? Just have the dragon title because of descent.
But they aren't.
But they are? I'm sorry. It sounded like you said it, but they are.
No, they are not. It would be cool if they did, But I do feel them being dragons is kind of shoehorned in. But we'll see how they try and explain it, if they ever even do.
Who knows? And besides, we can't have mummies because of Danger World.
Maybe. And maybe that's a fair argument. But where are the crocodiles? Where are the cats?
I'm just saying.
Yo, I want
the proof is in the pudding.
Why not get cards with hieroglyphs on them for the art? Stuff like that. We really don't have anything flavorful to ancient Egypt in them at all. Like, oh, this throne looks slightly Egyptian, and that's pretty much as far as we've gotten, honestly.
Hold on. I'm checking something. Keep talking.
I want Anubis cards. I want to see the underworld. I want to see
you don't get to see the underworld.
I want to see like the Egyptian god cards. I want to see a bunch of this. And I'm telling you right now, we're not going to get most of that stuff ever. Because Buddy Fight sucks at that type of stuff.
Most of them are wearing typical very old Egyptian clothing. First off,
Thanks for that, I guess.
you were asking for Egyptian like symbolism in there, and I'm giving it to you.
It's really a shame, honestly, because I feel we could have so much more than we do. It's like staring at an iceberg, and the stuff floating above the water is what we get for like the mythologies they cover, and everything under the water is the stuff that we don't get. We like see a tiny bit of that. That's not what I want. I want to see the entire world. Legend World should be about the lore, the world experience, and it's not.
What does that eye look like to you? An Egyptian eye?
You sure?
I could show you the other one too, but I've proven my point.
Okay.
I'm still waiting for you to prove anything, so.
I'm just saying, man. You agree that there could be some more depth added to some of these archetypes, both current ones and old ones.
No.
And some of them don't have anything to do with mythology really at all. What does love have to do with mythology? Maybe
they're historic swords.
A few of them, sure, but a lot of them aren't. And they don't
Do you
do anything.
please enlighten me with your sword knowledge, sir?
I don't know, man. It's tough to recommend what they should do next. I'd like to see more Legend World support in general.
I got it. I know what they need to do. They need to cut worlds out.
What?
Yes. So cut out Star Dragon World. Cut out Darkness Dragon World, as much as that would hurt me. Cut out Magic World.
Whoa.
Okay. That might have been pushing it. Cut out something. Maybe it's the fact that they have so many worlds, and then kind of like when we talked about Danger World, how things kind of started there and then got moved on to a different world type deal. Maybe it has something similar in there too. Not necessarily the whole play style but something's in there.
Okay.
Man, you're horrible to ping pong stuff off of.
Yeah, I know, right?
Jesus.
It's a tough one though, because Legend World's not in the worst shape of every world. There are certainly worlds that are doing worse than it is right now. I'd argue all three of the worlds we've previously covered are in a worse shape than it is, especially right now.
Really? You sure? One of those was Star Dragon World, right?
Yes.
Where are you from?
I'm saying Legend World's in a better spot than Star Dragon World right now. Especially with the new stuff. I mean, this new deck's going to be good. And it's
well, of course, I can't wait to break it.
Thing. So it's going to be good. Can we go back to the price of Legend World cards, though? Why is it that Legend World's always so expensive?
Well, because we get fan-freaking-tastic cards. That's all I can say. And the only way to remedy it is to get reprints. Just like back in the day when Aldewall was only from the Golden Buddy Pack, what? Didn't that hit almost $20 at one point?
Probably about 15.
15, 20, something around there. The reprints really do a number. Population reduction is going to be... Reduction. Whatever it is. That's definitely going to fall with the reprint because it's going to be super easy to get your hands on.
It's
Holy Grail was up there at one point because it was only a freaking promo.
The reason it's more cheap now isn't because of a reprint.
It's because of a triple rare.
It's because it doesn't see play. And we're just talking about the staple cards. Staple cards are very expensive in Legend World, but even archetype stuff. Generally, when a new archetype comes out for Legend World, if it's good, it's expensive.
EC.
Very expensive.
Oh, Lot's still expensive.
It's still expensive, yeah. But even when it came out, it was at least a $300 deck right out of the box. EC is very expensive.
Almost $400.
Season 1, every one of them were expensive in Season 1.
Season 1 was more because of the whole short printed.
I guess Zodiac was more mid range, but it also was probably the worst out of those decks that I just listed competitively. You know,
That's all I can say.
but yeah. Ow! I just banged my elbow. Thanks, table. Price is a problem still. I am glad we're getting the new trial deck. That's great, right? So we get that Legend World Flag reprint. Hopefully we don't have all the cards from it confirmed, but it'd be nice if they could slip in, support card or two that are generic.
They are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
population reduction. That's one of the cards in it.
Is it? I thought that was in the Chaos set.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
But on spoiler it says there's going to be reprints, so hopefully.
Honestly, that's all I got, really. It's the first time we have a real, main character for Legend World, right? We've had some really cool side characters for them, but this is our first time really having a main Legend World protagonist, right?
I wouldn't call him a protagonist. It's kind of hard to say. We could just say rival for now.
We don't really know, and we might not ever know because
No, if there's a manga for it, we might hop on that. And by we, I mean me, because Jacob's lazy. Ain't that right, Jacob?
You know it. All right, so I'd like to spend a couple minutes real quick addressing some of the many untapped themes they could use for Legend World. Because I rapid fired off a few. I said they could do Celtic, they could do, they could do African folk tales, they could do more classical Japanese stuff, Chinese I listed. Let's list a couple others. I also said Native Americans. Are there any others you can think of off the top of your head?
Russian.
That'd be interesting. I don't know what they'd have. How about
Neither do I. That's why I want to see it.
How about Mayan?
Mayan would be. I think we remember talking about that. Yeah, Mayan. Maybe Central America in general.
Yeah.
/ South.
We could get Incas and get llamas.
The Emperor's. Sorry.
What about Indian?
Buddhism, like
Buddhist
Buddhism or Hindu,
something like that.
Hindu.
They could do a Polynesian type thing where you get, or Hawaiian. That would be super cool.
I mean Samoan.
Sure,
because that's more where theirs is based off. If I remember correctly from history and whatnot, it's more Samoan. It's fuzzy, that was a long time ago.
There are tons of those things. We could, they did
Olympus, or reboot those archetypes.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, Olympus is probably the most underwhelming thing ever. I mean, of all of Greek mythology that you have, we got Gorgons, some lion dude, and
yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking Asgard getting Mjolnir finally as a weapon.
Yeah,
because wouldn't you want to be I'm freaking Thor? Throw it down
all that type of stuff would be awesome. Did we ever even get a Thor card?
No.
That's disappointing. There's so much they could do.
And I can't remember
all of them.
There is one card with one of the gods on it. And I can't remember if it's Zeus's Wrath or Odin's Wrath. Which one sounds more familiar? Because remember, it's the one that has the really cool foiling to it. Was it Zeus's Wrath?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who also doesn't have a card.
Somewhat. But yeah, there's definitely that.
I mean, even Hero, there are tons of characters from the Knights of the Round Table, stories
you have
that never got cards, like Morgana, the villain lady. She's a witch or whatever.
Nobody cares about the evil people. They only care about the good ones.
Oh, okay.
We got Merlin. We got Arthur. We got
We could get the
Lancelot.
We could get the lady from the lake, the one who gives King Arthur the sword.
Excalibur.
It could toolbox out a sword.
Or maybe
there's a lot they could do that they haven't done, and it's kind of disappointing. But take that as a good thing, honestly. If our number one complaint is we want more.
Or better done,
Yeah.
which I guess is still pretty bad, but yeah. Yeah, even though I still have no complaints. Because Grendel would be too broken if they try to retrain him. The more and more I think about it, as much as I want it,
Oh,
be too broken.
Okay, so here's another one. It would be double dipping, but hear me out because the archetype that kind of does this already doesn't do it well. Folktale. Okay, what if we got a new like Legend World archetype that was like designed off of the darker elements of like, you know, the like old German folk tales that are really, really messed up where like people die and stuff, you know? You know, like Hansel and Gretel, but like the real Hansel and Gretel, not this Disney-fied stuff, you know? Cinderella where
What, you didn't like the live action one? Where they're witch hunters? Do you remember that?
clearly what we need is we
need a Shrek.
He went there. All right. Well, I don't really have anything else, honestly. What do you have to say?
10 out of 10. Legend World is perfect. I'm sorry if you disagree with me, but you're wrong. Just kidding. Just kidding. You know, you're entitled to your own opinion.
Also, some fairy support that isn't toilet or Wydar Sarkal support in disguise that isn't just another sylph would be wonderful, guys.
Why?
Because I'm sick of seeing sylph. She's boring, and there are like 12 of her.
She's not boring.
And like, there are some really cool.
How do you feel about getting OTK'd by a size 0?
I'm talking aesthetically, man. You know.
So have you dragged this on long enough?
Oh, big time.
Okay. So, thanks for watching. You know, if you're watching this after the fact, still, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Hit the bell so you get notified on the next world, whenever that may be, or the next live stream, or the next video. You can support us on Patreon, or check out our shop. You can follow us on Instagram, or join our Discord, and keep this talk going. I know Jacob wanted to do some like Instagram live thingy, but I was watching a video. He tried to disturb me. It was disturbing. Any final words, Jacob?
Let us know what world you guys want us to do next, because I've got tons of things on some of these other worlds.
It's very simple. We're doing magic.
Whoa. I didn't consent to that yet.
I didn't consent to Legend World.
Yeah.
So it's magic world.
We'll let the people decide. You guys want Darkness Dragon World? We'll do Darkness Dragon. You want Magic World? We'll do Magic World. You want Dungeon? We'll do Dungeon.
And remember. Worlds, not flags. Yet.
Yeah.
You will get there.
Also, we're saving Dragon for the end. So.
Yes, we are. So on that note, above all else, stay classy, y'all.
Join Dalton and Jacob as they discuss the ever-changing world of trading card games. Thanks for listening to TCG Buzz. New episodes can be found on tcgbuzz.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. For box openings, deck profiles, and more, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.